am reacting to your Friday Night SmackDown Hot Take. Hot Takes is a weekly video series where I give you all a platform to be able to voice your thoughts, whether those are good thoughts, bad thoughts, or everything in between about the world of professional wrestling. So if you'd like to be featured in the next episode of Hot Takes, make sure that you follow me on X because I ask for your hot takes after every episode of Raw, SmackDown, and every WWE Premium Live event. And yes, I'm considering Saturday night's main event as a Premium Live event, so make sure that you're ready to submit your hot takes immediately after Saturday night's main event ends over on X, folks. As always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications if you're a wrestling fan. I know that you're gonna fall in love with this YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. We are now like 17 days into my vacation outside of my office, outside of the regular country that I live in of Canada. I'm here in Colombia. Still, I've been posting daily videos. So yes, I really do mean daily, regardless of the situation. So again, subscribe. But if daily isn't enough, consider checking out the Patreon, patreon.com/SantiZap. Even more than just daily content videos that we never upload here on YouTube. Go check it out. Patreon.com/SantiZap. Link in the description, link in the pinned comment. Let's read your stupid shit. Another day, another time, WWE teasing a surprise opponent just for it to be Braun Strowman. Hey, look, at the very least, this one was actually a surprise. I wasn't expecting Braun Strowman to be back from injury this quickly, considering 99.9% of the time that they advertise a surprise opponent, it ends up being the most obvious goddamn person that we would have expected in the first place. But Braun Strowman, I actually wasn't expecting. So that was a nice surprise. Also, a couple of months ago, maybe I would have also groaned if it was Braun Strowman, but right before his injury with that feud with Bronson Reed, Braun Strowman absolutely earned my respect. So I'm just glad that he's back as quickly as he's come back from this groin tear injury. The only thing that I'm not happy about is what they did to my boy Carmelo Hayes, which we'll talk about later on in this video. I get Money in the Bank briefcase holders lose a lot, but Tiffany shouldn't be losing that clean often, especially to people in the mid-card. Look, I don't think it's a wins and losses thing. I really don't think that it is. I think the one thing that is just universally true is that Triple H just doesn't really know how to book a strong Money in the Bank briefcase holder, and I don't think that he wants to. I think he wants to use Money in the Bank briefcase holders to elevate other talent because he knows that at any moment, even if he's been burying that Money in the Bank briefcase holder, he can bring them right back to relevancy when he eventually actually has them cash in, and it's probably going to be an awesome cash in. It's what happened with Damian Priest. Damian Priest's stock was rock bottom low. He was helping everyone get over but himself, and then he cashed in. Everything that happened beforehand seemed to be forgotten. He got pushed to the main event, and now he's a mainstay of the main event. I feel like that's just Triple H's formula for briefcase holders. Bury them, bury them, bury them, bury them to get other talent over, and then use the briefcase to bring them out of the abyss that he put them in and put them in the main event. To me, that's pretty clear that that's the Triple H formula for Money in the Bank in 2024. It's happening. We got the match we wanted. I hope Chelsea Greens. You're goddamn right. I hope Chelsea Greens. If Chelsea doesn't win, I'm going to be so upset. But hey, look, both Chelsea Green and Michin absolutely deserve this moment. This is one of those situations where the real winners are us, the fans, because these are the two that we've been clamoring for, and they actually freaking did it. They gave us the final that fans desperately wanted, the final that frankly, we all deserved, in the final that both Chelsea Green and Michin deserved. This is just great all around. Tiffany is gonna cash in on the US title so WWE can do Queen versus Queen, Charlotte versus Nia at WrestleMania to piss everyone off. I mean, it would be very on brand for WWE to piss everyone off, but I don't think that they're gonna do that because I really want to hope and believe that WWE has learned from their Austin Theory mistake, the mistake of having Austin Theory cash in on a mid-card title. And frankly, if he had won and had a successful cash in, it still would have been a huge letdown. It was just even worse that he lost. We don't want to see a mid-card cash in on the Money in the Bank briefcase. Nobody wants to see that. That would be the worst way to end already one of the worst Miss Money in the Bank performances that we've had from a superstar probably ever, because WWE has just made poor Tiffany Stratton into a complete dumbass as the briefcase holder, and now for her to cash in for the mid-card title would be so much colossally worse somehow. Paul Heyman is going to turn. He made a lot of facial expressions during the Roman promo where I feel that there is something going on. Roman's sugar daddy is going to betray him. Hate to see it. I personally don't know whether he's going to betray him or not. I don't really see it, but it's just so funny that Paul Heyman is that goddamn good where all he has to do is raise his eyebrows, furrow his brows, move his lips, move and shift his nose around, and people start contemplating and start fantasy booking and start creating these conspiracy theories as to what Paul Heyman is up to. I feel like it's just a testament as to how good of an on-screen presence Paul Heyman is, that he can have people talking about things like this by just pure facial movements and expressions. That's crazy. This time, I hope they actually make the Tribal Combat Usos match pure 1v1 without interference, because otherwise, what's the point? Hopefully, they've learned from their mistake at SummerSlam 2023. For those that have been around, it's gonna be Bloodline Rules, the final boss. All of these brain rot, raging piss. We are the original brain rot here in this community was, it's gonna be Tribal Combat Usos. And I don't know why they brought back Tribal Combat. Tribal Combat was such a giant letdown, and I always thought that Bloodline Rules was the evolution of what Tribal Combat should have been all along. But here we are. We're back to Tribal Combat, and the only taste that we've ever had of Tribal Combat has been a really shitty one. The SummerSlam match between Jey Uso and Roman Reigns is, to me, one of the biggest letdowns of the Triple H era in terms of like marquee storyline moments and main events. It was advertised as this one-on-one, nobody can interfere. This is to determine who is the head of the table for the Oofalafa. All of this stuff. And then it just turned into a giant handicap match with a bunch of interferences from Roman's bloodline at the time. It left a tremendously bad taste in everyone's mouth. So it is kind of surprising that they're bringing back this moniker of something that landed so incredibly flat. So maybe this is going to be WWE's way of undoing the shittiness of the last Tribal Combat Usos, and maybe they're actually going to make it good. What are they doing with Carmelo Hayes? He's supposed to be the future face of the company, and you have him jobbing to Braun Strowman. Look, I get that the circumstances are that Braun Strowman is way bigger, way scarier, and he was returning, so I wasn't surprised that he won. I am honestly genuinely surprised that he won by, you can call it what you want. He squashed Carmelo Hayes. Some people are like, it wasn't a squash. Carmelo Hayes got a bunch of offense in, a bunch of offense that did fucking nothing, and a bunch of offense that led to a 1 count where he got yeeted into space after hitting such an amazing combo set of moves. This was jobbing out poor Carmelo Hayes. You can try and sugarcoat it how you want. I think the only saving grace here is the transfer portal. The fact that Carmelo Hayes can go to Monday Night Raw and basically start anew. To me, that is most likely what's going to happen if this is how they're treating Carmelo Hayes. It just sucks that this is what's going on with the guys that were part of that amazing Best of 7 series. Remember the Best of 7 series that was ruined by LA Knight? And I told you guys it was a terrible idea, but everybody was like, no, they're going to fix it. Here we are, folks. Here we fucking are. Carmelo and Andrade are now just fodder for bigger, badder characters on Friday Night SmackDown. I'm genuinely excited to see Jimmy go for singles gold. I think that he's starting to prove that he can be a single star, especially after War Games. I know everyone is going to compare him to Jay when it comes to this journey, but let's give Jimmy the same grace that we did for Jay. I think everything that you're saying here is entirely sound. It makes sense, and I'm 100% with you. I don't think that Jimmy has gotten that opportunity yet. Jay immediately got to become a single star, broke off from the bloodline, and then he got to reach the heights that he's reached. We've yet to see Jimmy get that proper opportunity, because when Jay broke off, Jimmy didn't. Jimmy has been part of a group pretty much his entire time in the WWE. So I am personally excited to see what Jimmy is able to do. He's cut from the same cloth as Jay. And if Jay was able to do what he's done, garner the popularity that he's done, I don't see why Jimmy can't either. So yes, let's give Jimmy the proper grace period. Let's give him a proper runway to get his singles career up and running without just trying to compare him to Jey Uso and where Jey Uso is today. Kevin Owens needs to win this way more than Cody Rhodes, and it makes Cody's road to WrestleMania far more interesting, even if KO drops it back to him at the Royal Rumble. I kind of agree with you, but I also kind of disagree with you. I don't think that Kevin Owens needs this. A lot of people are like, Kevin Owens, if he loses here, he loses credibility, he's buried, yada. Kevin Owens is so beyond that. Kevin Owens could take a loss to Wee Man from Jackass like Sami Zayn basically did, and he'd be just fine. Kevin Owens has transcended the need for L's and W's because Kevin Owens is that guy. If he loses, he's going to be just fine. But if he wins, holy shit, that's interesting. The whole road to WrestleMania, as you're saying here, this is the part that I agree with, does become a lot more intriguing. Cody Rhodes needing to chase this championship before WrestleMania really does add a lot of layers, a lot of dynamics. And Kevin Owens as champion is something that we've really not gotten to see for a really, really long time. And that's something, especially with this current iteration of Kevin Owens, that I think a lot of people would pay money to see. I just don't see it happening.
Today's episode is brought to you by Turtle Beach, the #1 brand in gaming headsets and accessories. Their new Gen 3 Stealth 600 headset picks up so much crystal clear sound that I swear I heard a guy scratch his nuts on the other side of the map. You'll hear every footstep, every reload, every enemy sneaking up on you like they're stomping through your living room in tap dancing shoes, everything. Legitimately, they've been my go-to headset for gaming dating as far back as like 2009 in the MW2 days, but they're also my go-to for working and editing and long streaming sessions. Not just because of their high quality of sound, but their overall comfort. To me specifically, considering this is my job, that's incredibly important to have the headset feel like a soft pillow around your head. What's also nice is Turtle Beach has the Stealth 600 model, these bad boys right here, which are for PlayStation, PC, and Xbox, including cross compatibility and Bluetooth. So that means one headset for all of your systems. So I can easily go from working on my PC, doing some boring editing, to ripping on my PS5 if I wanted to. They're also like the only wireless headsets that I've used that doesn't die after 12 hours. These bad boys right here, the Stealth 600s, they'll go up to like 80 hours. Whether you're a casual gamer or you're one of those fellas that hasn't touched grass in weeks, Turtle Beach is the right headset for you. So folks, get the ultimate immersive gaming experience with Turtle Beach today. For a limited time only, head to turtlebeach.com and use code Santi for 10% off your entire order. That's 10% off of your entire order when you use code Santi at turtlebeach.com. Thank you to Turtle Beach for sponsoring this video. Now back to the video.
I'm looking forward to see this live next month. That's right, folks. We have Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa for the Ufalafa. This is crazy that they're doing this on an episode of Monday Night Raw. The fact that it's on Monday Night Raw screams that it's going to be shenanigans, but it might just be the best type of shenanigans. Look, last year's Raw Day 1, really, the entirety of week 1 of WWE for 2024 was basically a week-long PLE, and it looks like they're probably going to be doing the same thing. Raw on Netflix is going to be huge. Do you think that SmackDown on the USA Network is just going to sit down and not do anything awesome? They're probably going to be fantastic as well. That whole week is going to be crazy. I just think it's bananas that we're actually going to be getting a Roman Reigns Bloodline story arc match, a major story arc match happening on Monday Night Raw for Netflix. This is great. That episode of Netflix is going to be so legendary, especially if the rumors of Punk and versus Rollins are true. And who else knows what else is going to be booked for that show? What matches, what appearances, what legends? It's going to be insane. But I'm definitely expecting at the end of this match for The Rock to come out, like fully 100% expecting it. Chelsea beating Bayley clean is huge for her career. Clean is a stretch. It's clean for Chelsea Green, but it definitely wasn't clean. It did turn into a bit of a 2-on-1 there between Piper and Chelsea. What is big is the name of Bayley being the one that took a loss here. This is why the SmackDown side of like the United States Championship tournament bracket is so much better than what's going on Raw, because of names like Bayley that can help solidify those eventual winners when they hoist that championship. Bayley, even if she doesn't win, just added so much star power and so much legacy to this tournament that the Monday Night Raw just frankly doesn't have. I swear there were a lot more video package stuff on this episode. Or am I going crazy? You're definitely not going crazy. I think that this is just a formula for when they double tape episodes of SmackDown. You may not have known this, but they immediately taped next week's episode of SmackDown right after this one ended. And this does bring about some curious things. So to answer your question, yes, there were more video packages because they're not trying to exhaust all of the wrestlers on episode 1, because then they can't really fully use them to their best in episode 2. So the people that got vignettes and backstage segments are going to be likely utilized for episode 2. Here's the thing, all right? I really desperately hope that episode 2, the one that they've already pre-taped, doesn't have anything related to the WWE Undisputed Championship, because I don't want them to accidentally spoil who won the Saturday night's main event match. It's a weird night to try and pre-tape, you know, like the night before of a PLE, pre-taping a show that is meant to air after the PLE. That's just kind of like weird scheduling. I'm sure that they didn't spoil anything for Saturday night's main event. They're obviously like really smart and they probably wouldn't do that. It's still just weird, okay? This needs to happen tomorrow. I'm serious. There's a good chance you're probably watching this the day of Saturday night's main event, or maybe you've already seen Saturday night's main event, so you probably know whether or not Kevin Owens has won or hasn't won, but this would be pretty awesome. Roman should lose to Solo on the Netflix episode with a distraction from The Rock, looking like he's there to help, but then turns on him, with Solo finally revealing that he's been under The Rock's orders and declares him the real tribal chief to set up Rock versus Roman at Mania. Yeah, I feel like this is the storyline that everyone is expecting, even though it's an obvious one. I feel like this would make everybody happy. This would make a lot of sense. It would be a nice callback to everything that happened at Bad Blood. It would be a nice callback to that off-screen camera moment that Solo Sikoa had with Jacob Fatu, where fans filmed them saying this is all part of the plan. I do hope that this happens. I hope that it happens at Raw on Netflix. You know, The Rock has been pretty vocal about him being one of the ones that negotiated this giant deal between Netflix and WWE. And I'm sure that probably part of the stipulation was that The Rock would appear on the first inaugural episode of Raw on Netflix. And if there is a place for him to show up, it is here. And if there's a context for him to show up, it is this one. With Roman challenging Solo to a match at the debut episode of Raw on Netflix and the rumors of Seth versus Punk also on the card, what match should main event? Personally, I think Seth versus Punk is the bigger match. It might be to some people, it's the bigger match for me. I love CM Punk and I want to see that feud, but dude, come on. You know the answer. You know Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa for the Ufalafa is the one that's going to main event, especially if The Rock is there, which is just hilarious because under 99.99 repeating percent of circumstances, CM Punk versus Seth Rollins is your goddamn main event. It's just hilarious that the presence of The Rock, or the potential presence of The Rock, potentially could rob CM Punk of yet another main event. This time, not even on a PLE, on Monday Night Raw, for God's sakes. But yeah, to answer your question, me, if I was doing my own personal bias here and using that to book Raw, I'd probably go with Seth versus Punk. Chelsea Green deserves to be inaugural champion, but honestly, I want Michin to win. She's the one who's improved the most over these past few months. I mean, yeah, you see what you're saying here? This is a win-win scenario for WWE fans. This is the perfect final. We've already kind of talked about this earlier on this video, but I know that in my predictions, I predicted that it was going to be Tiffany Stratton versus Chelsea Green. That being said, this is the final that I wanted. This is the final that I felt we've earned as fans, and the final that these two have earned as performers over their fantastic year of 2024. Chelsea Green has been nothing but a treat all year long. Michin, since December 2023, has just been consistently getting better and better and better and putting on banger after banger after banger, whether it's on SmackDown, whether it's on NXT. Yo, if you missed the Michin run on NXT, you missed out. She was putting on some fucking amazing matches over there. And now to see the culmination of both of these great women's work finally being given a spotlight, a pedestal, the limelight, like Saturday night's main event, it's just refreshing. It's just nice to see this for everyone involved. Drew attacking Jimmy is okay. He, alongside Seth plus Kevin, are the few people that are justified to stay forever mad at the Bloodline, going after each person who's ever wronged him. I honestly really like this idea. I can happily say, welcome to the Drew McIntyre Revenge Tour, Santi. All right, the whole Revenge Tour thing, that's already been taken up by the Liv Morgan people, all right? Let's change this up. This is Bounty Hunter Drew McIntyre. The Bloodline Bounty Hunter Drew McIntyre is a character I can fully get behind. This is awesome. If this is a story arc in the lead up to WrestleMania, just killing and destroying every single member of the Bloodline, hopefully eventually getting to Solo and Roman Reigns, I am so here for this because, like you said, he's one of those people that is fully justified to be a full bloodline hater, and I'm here for it. WWE is becoming like football outside of the United States with the quote transfers taking place in January. I think it's a very good thing to maintain enthusiasm in the product that they make. Criticize it if I'm wrong. Won't be criticizing this because you're right. I really, really like the transfer window. And in fact, I've been extra vocal about it that this is the only thing that they should do. They shouldn't do a superstar draft anymore. That is honestly a giant waste of time. 99% of the picks are just announcing to you that the person that was already on that show is going to stay on that show. This is actually fresh. This is different. It brings up questions of who's going to move where. Everyone seems like it's fair game. This is a much better system and a much more intriguing system as well of shaking up the Raw and SmackDown roster. Roman Reigns needs to apologize. Again, I'm going to be including this hot take every single week until he does. Thank God Triple H is booking, because if the former boss was still booking, I'd be more worried about Carmelo Hayes' future than I already am. Like, Triple H has shown that he can turn things around. So there's still hope, but man, this is how you follow up the amazing best of 7. It sucks unequivocally that this is how you're following up the great feud that Carmelo Hayes just had, putting on some of the best TV matches of the entire year. However, I think you raise a marvelous point. This would be so much more detrimental. Red flags and alarms should be sounding if we were in the Vince McMahon era. I also have significantly more trust in Carmelo Hayes' future in the hands of Triple H than I ever would have under Vince McMahon. You're right. I agree with you fully. I still have a hope. I still have a glimmer of light that Carmelo Hayes is still going to be treated like a main eventer, whether it's on Raw or SmackDown. I'm just, like you said, glad that Triple H is at the helm at this point. He's walking out of Tribal Combat Oos match with the Ulafala. Oh yeah. And I hope he attacks LA Knight, by the way, for calling it the Ufalafa. I actually genuinely hope that happens, because a micro feud, even if it's like a 1-week feud on SmackDown or Raw between LA Knight and The Rock, yo, come on, everyone wants to see that. I couldn't take Johnny Gargano seriously in his promo because he looked like this. Yeah, he had a weird haircut. He had a weird hairstyle. He did kind of look like Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius. Pretty Deadly the Musical, starring Braun Strowman and Tiffany Stratton, will be the highest rated, most selling musical in the history of all musicals. Fellas, I feel like we are one step closer to getting what we want. Give us Pretty Deadly the Musical. Give us what we want. Naomi definitely attacked Jade. Yep. How freaking convenient, Naomi. Jade gets attacked, they're being forced to relinquish and vacate the tag titles, and you just swoop in. I can take the titles. How fucking convenient, Naomi. We see right through your bullshit. Tag team champions should not be able to sub into different partners. Bianca shouldn't be able to relinquish the titles, but she should have to defend it in handicap matches. I agree with you. I'm fine with I'm fine with the Freebird rule, by the way, if they were a proper faction and a team like the New Day was, trading the championship between one another. But this is just a matter of convenience, which is why I think that Naomi, you're guilty. We're getting 2 PLE matches on Raw. This Raw on Netflix will be crazy. And the thing is, we talked about this already. If this was under Vince McMahon, I would honestly just laugh at the notion of this happening, because I would just tell you this is just going to end in disqualification. The matches won't even get started. Look at what happened in the Raw after WrestleMania 39, after Vince McMahon took over for like a couple of months. They advertised this like impossible match, and it was impossible because it didn't end up freaking happening. And I feel like this would be the same case if Vince McMahon was still around. He's not around, so your boy's really excited for this show. All right, folks, thank you so much for sitting through this episode of Hot Takes. I'll see you for Saturday night's main event Hot Takes and the Saturday night's main event review. Take care. Goodbye. Get out of here.